Welcome our special guest. He's the publisher of the Daily Surge, New York Times bestseller, Obama's Zombies, great book. His newest book is Crapitalism, Liberals Who Made Millions Swiping Your Tax Dollar. Jason Mattera, great to meet you. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the program.
Jason, you still got that weekend show in New York?
No, I'm under contract for another media outlet, so I had to give that up.
Oh, darn.
But it was fun. It was fun. I did WABC for 3 years, and it was a blast.
I listened to you, man, and I got to tell you, you're a tough little dude there. I would be scared to go up to Harry, and I've had Harry Reid on when I was doing mornings in Vegas. I had Harry Reid on all the time. Mm-hmm. He's a nice, sweet little Mormon guy. This is before he turned to the dark side. Right. But how do you do this? What gives you the guts you have, Jason? Aren't you scared?
No, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, so the last thing I would be afraid of is some politician in Washington, D.C., but the motivation behind what I do is to shine a spotlight on this corruption. I know the answer to the question I asked Harry Reid. I wrote about it in Crapitalism, how someone who was born into poverty, raises a large family, has 2 residencies on both coasts, and now lives in the Ritz-Carlton. How does that happen? How does someone born into poverty accumulate so much wealth on the government salary most of his career? And the reaction, as your listeners just heard, was for a Capitol Hill police officer in plain clothes to slam me up against the wall for daring to ask Harry Reid that type of question. It goes to the arrogance of our elected leaders today and how they view us in terms that we're there to serve them and enrich them, and whereas the relationship is the exact opposite. It should be, and that is they're there to serve us and make sure that they get out of our way and provide us an equitable, just environment.
There's a link to the book at Dominick on the air.com. Go to links, Crapitalism. We here on the show, we did some research. Sally Benson, my producer, went out and did some research, and we actually found out that a U.S. senator makes $174,000 a year, which you'll hear them talk. That's not a lot of money. But, but how do you, when you add up, okay, if you're there for 6 years, it doesn't make sense how these people are leaving there with millions. But let me do the other side, Jason. What they say is, well, I came to Washington and I did some really good investments.
Of course, and one of those really good investments apparently was sponsoring an infrastructure earmark that would connect Nevada and Arizona, and Harry Reid just happened to have land on the Arizona side that's good to benefit from the infrastructure project. So, yeah, they make wise investments based off of legislation they know is coming down the pike. But if it was just one coincidence here and there, okay, maybe.
Right.
These coincidences for most members of Congress just pile on up, and there is no way, in an ethical standpoint, how you enter politics with very little money, and then you leave politics again. While politicians, that number may have sounded high, the government salary, but he's supporting a very large family, and you have to have 2 residencies on opposite ends of the country if you're him. How do you accumulate millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars?
Well, I actually know some. This is going to be shocking to people who know. I was friends with Congressman Ted Poe from Texas, and some of these congressmen and senators would live in their offices, or they have roommates. A major senator that you see on the Today Show and on Good Morning America, this guy, he has a roommate because they can't afford it. But Harry Reid has got a room at the. Is this true at the Ritz-Carlton?
Yep, that's his crash pad. What a nice crash pad. He owns a condo at the Ritz-Carlton.
Wow. And now we got Barbara Walters, we got Dan Rather, we got all these crusading journalists. And why is it nobody, except for Jason Mattera, and God bless you for doing it, Jason, why is nobody saying, wait a minute, these guys come here making, and now they leave being millionaires? How come no one's looking into it but Jason?
Well, the D.C. media in general are made up of a bunch of lapdogs, and they crave the exclusivity and the access. So if they start asking the right question and the critical question, looking out for the people, that access will be denied. And they're also infused in an environment where most of them are left wing. They will ask a critical question and dig into the record or the votes or background of a Ted Cruz or a Rand Paul for sure. But if you're looking at Harry Reid, they're just not going to do so. And in fact, let's say the tables were turned and you had some left-wing reporter at Mother Jones asking Mitch McConnell about some crony deal-making, and Mitch McConnell's security detail throws the reporter up against the wall. We know that this would be a story that would lead every single nightly news and talked about in every single mainstream paper around the country. But unfortunately, the bias, when you hear conservatives talk about a systemic bias, it's a genuine concern.
It's a prejudice against people who, even the unwillingness to let conservatives have a point of view. If you don't believe, if you don't believe in certain things, if you don't believe in gay marriage, we have a right to fire you because obviously you are a bigot.
Right.
Well, that's how the left operates today. They are some of the most bigoted individuals. So while they will speak about tolerance, diversity, they don't mean that. They mean you conform to my worldview, or else we'll do everything possible to make your life miserable, even trying to get you fired. So we have. I think it's important to point out that leftists. I mean, and there are some really good liberal folks out there. I don't want to brand all liberals this way, but when you have the hardcore left, they're totalitarians. You've got to conform to their worldview, or else they think you are an evil person. It's not that you're just an individual who happens to have a different opinion.
Do you ever worry about your safety? Because a lot of these left wing people, you know, it's that type that gets violent. You don't find a lot of conservatives going nuts and throwing things at people. Do you ever worry, Jason?
No, not at all.
Well, that explains why you were raised in Brooklyn and I was raised in Staten Island, so that's the difference. Brooklyn gay, hey, Harry Reid. Me, it's like, excuse me, I'm going to stand over there. I'm from Staten Island.
Sorry, sir.
Were you shocked when the guy threw you against the wall? Is that the first time you've ever been subject to a? Well, no. I got to 1 second. You'll say, Jason. I got to tell Chris this. Jason Mattera, Jason Mattera, let me tell you, he went after Al Sharpton.
Okay.
Al Sharpton. Now, when I was producing for the Alan Colmes Show in New York, it was scary as hell to deal with anybody from the Al Sharpton organization.
Right. Jason
Mattera, tell us how you went after Al Sharpton, and we're asking him questions, and then we'll try to figure out why you're not dead.
And try to figure out what?
Why you're not dead. Because
why I'm not dead? Al Sharpton. Well, listen, I asked him in the spirit of Donald Sterling, you know, who's the disgraced Clippers owner who was forced to sell the team because of these racist remarks he made in private. Al Sharpton leading the show, of course, and having his bullhorn and, threatening protests and marches, blah, blah, blah. I asked Al Sharpton in the spirit of Donald Sterling if he should be banned from TV for all the racist stuff he said over the years.
Yes.
And Al Sharpton actually responds incredulously like, what racist stuff?
Oh.
Of course, the video was easy to pull together almost, I can't say every because there's been so many, but pretty good racist moments in Al Sharpton's history over the last 25 years.
Insulting Jews, insulting gay people. And no one seems to bring this up, but Jason, you do. So the book is Crapitalism. I got it right? Crapitalism?
Crapitalism, liberals who make millions swiping their tax dollars.
Jason, good luck on this book. Stay safe, and we appreciate you being on Dominick on the Air.
You got it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Take care. Jason Mattera, who I loved every weekend on the radio in New York.
Dominick on the Air. Weekdays noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on the Boost Radio Network.